Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Friday Night Live. We have some new designs that we'll be testing out. I've already tested them for impression quality and everything's fine with that. But as far as incorporation into scenes, you're looking at the first of the trials with that, even for me. So anyways, looking forward to this and always exciting to see how things are in application instead of just in theory. So anyways, okay, so there's 40, let me see, was there 42 or 43 new designs? I think there's 43, and I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, I don't think, but I thought I would do some stamp sketching here, just incorporating the designs into rough layouts here that I can finish off at a later date, or if we have time here, I'll finish off a couple of them here in this live stream. But I thought I'd start off with the Mystic series. That's kind of the foundation for this new release, and there's several designs that they're kind of in theme, but they don't necessarily have to be used the way that I'm using them. They can be used with all the other Stampscapes designs, etc. But I have a bunch of different sizes of paper here. I don't have too many quarter pages. I should have brought, well, no, maybe I do. Okay, so this is a selection of both the semi-gloss and glossy cardstock, okay? So, as I always say, it's mostly for people who haven't done, scenic stamping before, that might think it's about a given technique or medium. It's not, if you want to stamp out imagery and you want to use it with colored pencils and you want to use the papers that are most conducive for colored pencils, and you're going to want to do them on a, like a matte cardstock or something like that, or, colored pencil papers or something of that sort, cold press, okay? I'm using cardstocks because they tend to have a nice smooth surface on them. They don't have to be glossy like this one. This one's more of the semi-gloss, but they're going to be coated and they're going to retain the most amount of detail with, highly detailed imagery, which the Mystic line is, and a lot of, most of the Stampscapes line is. All right, but that being said, use it on whatever paper. I don't know, might try it on some holographic or something like that too. Depends what we have time for. We're just winging it here as always. Hello, Jolene, Bugs, Linda, Joy, and Debbie. Thanks for joining in. You're going to see some experimentation here. Okay, so back to the papers here. We have some half-page pieces, quarter page, and kind of more of the the half-page vertical. This is real, I don't know, not quite bookmark, almost though. But we'll try a little bit of each of these, okay? All right, so let's get on with it here. Mystic series. Okay, one of the things I did was I re-inked my black pad here. It's just a black dye-based ink. I'll probably use that. If we get into other types of media, I might pull out the StazOn ink or something like that on, one of the other types of papers here. But, okay, so that being said, when I stamped these out, I did stamp out a couple quick layouts here just before I started here. But I won't color any of these immediately because they're going to be really juicy impressions, okay? Because I really ink this up heavily just so I wouldn't have to re-ink, during this broadcast here, because I knew I'd be doing a lot of, just layout styles of stamp sketches here. Okay, so let's get into it here. All right, so the Mystic series, if you just enter in like Chinese ink paintings into, whatever search engine, Google or whatever you use, you'll see all these types of ink paintings, and they're typically these types of mountains, with a lot of mist in between the different elements in there, the different land masses between foreground, midground, and background, okay? Now, I've tried to make these images where, you can use it with a sharp outline of a water, body of water, against the shoreline or something like that, okay? You can use it like that, and I plan to use it like that too. But I've also kind of made it a little bit lighter on the edge, and I didn't do the reflections down here so that it could be, you know, easily incorporated into these misty, kind of foggy, I don't know. I think they're mystical looking in nature settings here. And that's a little bit different, you know, from my thought process with previous designs because, you know, when you were doing these types of images, you know, in scenic stamping, you know, we're typically adding a lot of different elements and then we're blending them together with other land masses, other types of textures, grass textures, etc. But on this one, you know, we can have these empty spaces, and I think it's perfectly conducive for the look. So I think it's going to be like the easiest types of imagery, if you use them in this fashion, that we've ever done, you know, before. You can incorporate them together, or you can leave them as separate kind of floating entities, okay? All right, so here is the Mystic Trees. I really wanted to come up with a better name than that one, but I couldn't think of anything. So these are kind of the foreground elements. They're fairly large, okay? There's a left and right side, all right? And what I'm going to do to give it that extra kind of head start in terms of creating this, you know, mystical type of setting is at the base of these different elements. I already kind of made it lighter in here. You can see it just in the, you know, the inking up here. But I'm going to take my paper towel and wipe off some of this ink down here with a dry paper towel, okay? So that will give it that kind of that transition zone going from darker elements to lighter down here where it's foggier around the base. You don't have to do that again, you know, we can just have like a hard shoreline or something like that, traditional shoreline and, you know, a different type of setting or environment. Okay, this one here, I'm going to do it elongated here just because I did it, you know, here on a more of a vertical. These paintings, most of the paintings that you'll see are kind of more in that vertical format, okay? But let's take a look and see what this looks like on the horizontal elongated piece right here. All right, so you see that? It already looks like it's kind of in a bit of fog down here, and just from wiping off the base of it like that, okay? I like that kind of bottom illumination like that too. I do that on a lot of, you know, Lakeside Cove and all of the, the other imagery that I have too. But on this one, extra conducive. I don't know, you know. I use a lot of white pigment ink, as you know, if you watched like any of my videos at the end, and I don't know. I've been really looking forward to this setting here. All right. All right. So that was the left side, and this is the right side. Don't have to use them in conjunction with one another. Okay. You can have this, and you can use the Seaside Cove out here, something like that, and put another thing up here if you want to. You know, sunset, whatever. Okay. But if you want to frame things off, you can use the left and right hand side. You can even use this side again, okay? Coming in from over here, so you'd get the most of the right hand side of it, but you can use this part of the left's, you know, Mystic Trees left. I got to remember all these names. And you can, you know, stamp this over here and it can be the other side of it. In other words, you ink that up and you can use it right over here too, okay? All right, so that being said, ink, wipe off, dab off, whatever. All right, and we'll go with this over here. I'll go a little bit farther off here. You can even use this one again, and you can use it up here too, but do it in lighter incarnation like gray, or do it in second impression or something like that too, where it looks farther off in the distance. Okay, See that right there, where it looks really light at the bottom there? Okay. Hello. Did I say CM Hawkins? Hello, Christine. Bonnie, Jeannie, good to see ya. You should be getting yours soon. Internationally, Linda, I don't know when you'll be getting yours. Hopefully soon. I can't wait to see what you guys do with these. All right, so let's see. Do I want to put in... Okay, now these ones have been used. You can see where this one right here, this is the Mystic Hills, left and right. I've stacked it right up there. And I could put that up there, but maybe... Okay, I can see what that looks like that. Maybe I'll just put some mountains in here, something like that. I'll make this a bigger body of water like this instead of an inlet like this one, okay? So let's go with some hills in the background. All right. This is a time when I wish I had more acrylic blocks just so I could leave the image on the block here. Or I don't know, I wish there were... I don't know, I had mounts for all of these instead of switching off, you know, with just... I don't know, I have a lot of blocks here. By the way, I'm using tack and peel on my blocks, if you don't know what tack and peel is, so I do have these 4 blocks here, but I am having to switch off here. All right. Okay, so you can see where these mountains are right here. Definitely don't have this like hard edge like down here, like my Rocky Peaks or Tall Peak or something like that. Even though I do transition those ones, I transition this one off like, I don't know, in the extreme where there's not like a, you know, a hard edge down here where it ends, because I want it to, you know, to kind of, you know, whatever, descend into the mist or something like that, or I guess it's rising from, you know, cloudy, you know, types of what are formations? Okay, so I'm gonna wipe this off a little bit at the bottom here too. I don't know if you really need to, because I've transitioned it off with dots anyways. And let's center this one a little bit, like so. So usually, you know, when you're doing bodies of water too, you have this kind of harder edge down here, like the far, you know, shoreline or something like that. But if it's all in clouds, then, you know, we really don't need to. So, and like I said, you don't have to use it like this. Yeah, I'll use it in different ways, but as I was designing these, I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be like, these are going to be like really easy to use and incorporate, you know, if they're using them in this kind of cloudy type of atmosphere. You know, it's like textures and things like that. Rocks and extra things have always been kind of the binding, I don't know, whatever quality texture within pieces, okay? But see, even these mountains like this, you can really give it some space, and you can have, you know, a lot of blank area in between, because that blank area is going to represent, you know, clouds. I'm not just going to leave it white, though. I would add in, you know, like a little bit of atmospheric mist or something like that, and shadow within these spaces with some extra tone, okay? But I won't darken it in too much, because you want it to be, you know, illuminated clouds. All right, so there's just some mountains in the distance like that. And then, I guess this could be land, or you could, you know, you can put a river coming through here. I'm going to make this all kind of a body of water, though. And let's try out, I haven't tried out this one yet, my little fishing boat with sail. These aren't really junks. I think those are like larger things, so I just call them all fishing boats. How is everyone this afternoon? I hope you're all well, and so we have Easter Sunday coming up here. That snuck up on me. I didn't know I'm trying to decide where I want this. Let me see what this look. Let me get. Okay, let's see. I'm going to put that coming from this side, I think. Coming into the scene. So this boat's going this way. So I usually put it a little bit left of center where it's entering the scene. Unless this is like a 2-page thing where you're turning pages or something like that, like a sequential piece, or if it's a triptych or something like that where you have another piece right here where I'd have this going into the next one. So I'm going to put this roughly like right there, I think. Okay, I wiped off, some of the bottom down here. And let's see. I need to make sure I've leveled this. Okay. Like that. All right. You don't have to do too much with these pieces. Like I said, that space in between, I think it just looks just fine like that. Now, if I didn't have this piece right in here, okay, as far as a reference to, whatever size these things are, anytime you put a person in a landscape, you're kind of representing, you're giving reference to scale, how big these trees are, something like that. So, if you didn't have that, I think this little pavilion would have been cool right there as far as a focal point. I guess I don't know if I would use this one, because if this was like on the same level as this, it would say that, this is like a really tiny pavilion where it'd be better if it was off in the distance like that. I can put another island or something like that in there, but that would be a good focal point too. But I already have this focal point right here, so that's good. Unless I use, the pavilion, one of the larger pavilions like this in the foreground, like that. Or this one right here. This is I don't know, that would have to be over a little bit. This one will be a little bit too small. I think the larger one like that. So see, that's why I did these like larger sizes like this too, so we can, we can have different scale like that. All right, so that one right there, I think I'm going to leave that as is. Let's put a little bit of texture in here too, I think. I'm going to go back to the tiny rocks right here. And I'm just going to put some of this right at the base of my little, whatever, outcroppings. I don't know what you would call it. Like that, little bit of a transition zone, and then I'll have like cloudy mist rising from the base like that. All right. So this is what's different for me, looking at something like this and seeing this thing kind of fade out like that. We're used to having like a row of trees or something like that, like a hard edge thing in the background, but this really sets the scene for like a word stamp in here would be good too. Not with this boat, but if you didn't have this as a focal point, you can have a word stamp in here, and that would be really interesting as far as, like a little poetic statement in, clouds and mist and everything like that. It's, it's the perfect type of setting for something of that sort. I'll have to finish off one of these before the end of this piece, because I really want to see what these look like. Okay, let's give another one a try here. Let's see. Let's go for a really elongated piece like this. I think this is 8.5 by 4.25. Or wait, is this 11? I'm not sure what size this is. I'm not sure what size this piece came from. I don't know. It's like a weird size right here. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Let's go for a little bit more depth in here. Oh, let's do something right here. This is something that I've been looking forward to trying out here. Let's do this and the other one here, and then let's do the left and right Mystic Hills, but let's do those back to back and make this center piece right in here, I think, okay? And see how that looks. We'll see if a theory is, works in application. and of whatever my designing experience, works out here. Uh, okay, let's see. Hello, P. Wrench, Phyllis. Hello, Paul. Good to see you. Yes, they are new images. You are seeing them used almost for the first time. I've done impressions of these, but I have never used these before, so it would be like someone getting them for the first time. Except it's me. No, of course I designed them, so you know what I mean. I'm picturing every which way they could be used in my mind. In application, that's never the case because people get these and they use them in all kinds of ways that I never even conceived of a lot of times. Which is I love. Seeing all of the inventive ways people use things. Because whatever the ideas get spinning with them too. Sometimes I see people use my designs, and I have to really kind of, look closely and think about it because sometimes I don't even recognize the designs. It's it's the rocks from this one right here, but with pine, a different type of pine trees that they've used on top of it or something like that, where they've really dissected the imagery, which is really cool. All right, left and right side again. You can even use the trees like this down here again if you want to. Let's do that right here. Let's just use these trees again right here for the foreground. This is the thing that I'm teaching. When I'm teaching people that have never done any scenic stamping before, I'm really focusing on a lot of types of applications such as using partials, okay? Because everyone's, when they haven't done certain types of stamping before, they're only used to using like the entirety of an image, centralized in a card or something like that. And I used to seeing this. Okay, I'm gonna just use the foliage off this, or I'm just gonna use the rocks down here, and I'm gonna pair those rocks with, whatever pine row or something like that. Okay, so I have a class coming up for this retreat, and that's what I'm going to be. I don't know. We're going to be trying to get a lot done, but a lot of the my little presentation in the beginning is about usage of partials like that. So it's looking at a design and saying, oh, okay, I can use the trees off this if I want to. They don't have to be accompanied with this rock here. You can use this coming in from the side like that, where you don't have to use the whole thing. Because when people see, design like this, together like that, they're thinking, okay, there's no way I can use these together on a quarter-page piece of card stock or something like that. Or they're too big for a quarter, like a card. Okay, so here they are used here. Well, this one's the Mystic Hills, but you can. Nature you can use like that. Natural elements you can use like that. Okay, now what I was talking about was this one right here. Let's use this right here, but I'm going to couple that with the other side. Okay, so normally I have these things coming in from like that, left and right sides when I have elements that are called left and right, all right? Because they kind of frame off your scenes really nicely with elements like that coming in from the side. They're kind of visual kind of lead-ins, okay? A lot of times I have visual lead-ins coming in from the bottom, like roads or something like that lead you into a scene. But this is kind of pointing in like that, so it kind of frames things off like that. But you can also use left and right side components like this. You use them centrally like that, so, they can create, like, in this case, like a little island or something like that. So let's try something. Actually, let me use those. Let me see it. I envision these ones look like this little pagoda on the top too. So let's give that a try here. All right, so see this right here? This one's going down here, and this one's going to be coming really close to this, okay, if I use the entire thing. So I'm going to really wipe off the bottom of this part. So it's going into like this cloudy mist, and then rising up from this cloud is going to be this little, you know, let's see, maybe I'll do it a little bit over so it's a little bit more rule of thirds, huh? Unless I want, you can do these little pyramidal things, you know. I don't know, I think how they call it, dramatic balance, where it's really kind of centered like that. Um, I don't know. I'll make up my mind here in a second. We'll see how this goes here. I mean, you know, there's not a right or wrong to it or something like that, but let's see. Or maybe I'll do it a little bit over this way. I think this will be good right here, where it's kind of leading over this one. I think that pagoda will look really good up there. All right, so see this right here, where this mountain's going down into this tree right here. I'm going to really wipe that off so that I don't obscure the silhouette and shape of what I'm going to be stamping it over, okay? So you just wipe this off like that. And I'm going to wipe off, you know, I don't know, maybe about an inch off the bottom like that. So I don't know if I took off all the ink off the bottom. I think I took off some, like, I don't know, 80% off the very bottom portion. And then, like, I don't know, maybe 50% off right here. Okay. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like 70. All right. So I'll go like this. I'm kind of imagining that little pagoda up there. Or I don't know, whatever it's called, pavilion. Okay, so see that right there? So see, it's lighter because I want it to, you know, get pushed back in the distance like that, okay? And then we've really wiped off the bottom portion where it's not obscuring this. So that little technique of just wiping it off, where it's going to be blending in with the other imagery, or overlapping it. No masking, you know, required. Let's see. Hello, Jen. Hello, Pat. Hey, Pat. Good to see you. All right. So going like this. This one I'm really going to have to wipe off because it'll be going off right into here. Okay, and that little branch right there is fairly delicate. Okay, so let's see. I like that. All right, I'm going to wipe off this whole tree line right here, actually, okay? If it prints out a little bit, then so be it. That's fine. Okay, so let's go like that. All right, now don't try to match things up like a jigsaw puzzle, like edge to edge. Overlap into the impressions a little bit, you know? In matter of fact, I might kind of wipe off some of this where it's overlapping into there a little bit, okay? And I say that, you know, don't go edge to edge because sometimes people miss, so you get these gaps in between your imagery, okay? So see that right there? How that goes like that. And then at the top of that little hill, we'll put our focal point. We'll see how this looks right here. I think that'll be kind of cool right there. I cleaned off my acrylic blocks too. I cleaned off my entire desk here. There's so many new images, I needed space. All right, so here is this little pavilion here. Let me make sure I got that straight on there. I don't want it to look, you know, like it's been like in an earthquake. So let's see, let's go like this right here. I kind of went down into, I overlapped down into that little mountain, or well, I don't know, not mountain, but that little peak there a little bit. So we have that. Now it's a little focal point, and then we'll put some of those other mountains back there in the distance. Or maybe you can leave it like blank like that too, but I think it's, you know, let's get some of these other little hills back there as well. Let's see. Should I use the larger one or the smaller one? Let's go with the larger ones here. I need more blocks. Keep having to switch out here like this. which normally I don't. I've never thought about that in the past, but with all these different elements here and wanting to use them all together, you know? All right, so I'm trying to decide if I want to blot this off and then stamp it out where it's really light in the background, but I'm just going to wipe off the base of this a little bit, okay? And let's see. I'm going to wipe off more where it's going into that tree, okay? Don't be afraid to be fairly aggressive with that dry paper towel. Remember, dry paper towel, not a wet paper towel. Otherwise, you'll be removing all the ink off, okay? We just want it to kind of transition, all right? And let's see, let's go with another impression back here, like that. I'm going to leave this area right in back of there, just blank, so that we don't lose the shape and silhouette of our focal point right there. I think I'm going to put a little boat down here too. I think that'll look really good. Okay, so let's see. This little mountain texture just kind of, it almost just reads as texture. It's almost, I wouldn't call it abstract or something like that, but it can almost be. All right. All right, let's get a little kind of focal point, little fishing boat or something down there. And let's see. And that's a diver. I got to get used to looking at I haven't seen, you know what I mean? I haven't been looking at these little designs backwards, you know, for years, you know, when you get these new designs like this. So it's kind of new for me looking at them. All right, let's see. Let's go with this different one right here. Okay. With these little fishing boats here, I don't know, do an impression of them just so you don't mount them up and then stamp them upside down, because I do have the reflection in the design. I can tell because there's little dots down here that kind of transition off where the top of the little boat has this harder edge like that. But yeah, I don't know, you know, to stamp them out before you stamp them in there, you know, when you're getting used to them. You know what I mean? Just so you don't have an upside down, you know, boat, you know, after doing your whole composition or something like that. So this one right here, you just, you know, do an impression. You can see what it looks like, okay? All right. Let's see. That would be a kind of a nice little spot, I think. Coming over here would be good too, but that seems like a nice little opening for this little guy. Let's see, why don't we just wipe off the bottom of this one too? Why not? You know, we're wiping off kind of the base of all these other things, so even in your smallest of elements, why not put them in the same foggy kind of mist as the rest of the elements within the scene. All right, so there you go. A nice little composition right there. And with these ones right here, I can color with colored pencil too, but I think just some nice gray tones or ink washes. I think I would bring in a little bit of maybe blue tones, because sometimes I just, you know, it animates the grayscale a little bit more to give the grayscale a little bit of temperature, or like a little bit of a, oh, like an antique linen or sepia, that type of tone, you know, to give it a little bit more of an aged look. Maybe you can give it more of like, I don't know, you know, these things were probably painted on, what, you know, like I don't think they were painted on silk, right? They were probably painted on rice paper, I'm guessing. I don't know, whatever they're. You can give it kind of that antiqued look to it, I think. You know, if you kind of age it a little bit, and what better things to age it with than, you know, your grayscale components with, you know, distress inks. All right, so let's see. If you just joined in, here's a couple little compositions like this. The Mystic line, or what Mystic series, okay. Mystic trees left and right like that. Here it is again like this, but using the trees like this down here. The trees from up there, down here, to give it a little bit of a different silhouette. Little mountains in the background. This is the left and right hills that, you know, kind of are designed to go to flank these left and right sides, to go in the back of something like this, especially on a kind of vertical format like this. I think these would be perfect for, I don't know, you know, some bookmarks might be a little bit too narrow maybe for like these images, but you can use these ones right here, and then it'd be perfect for a little quote or something like that too. So, let's see. Yeah, the mirror images really come in handy. They're kind of the balance, you know, for our pieces and for containment of the compositions. And I always like using them that way. And like I said, I don't use them in conjunction with one another, like a lot of them, like this. But I think this series right here with these rocky types of formats, and it's a little bit mirrored. I changed things, you know, a little bit from left to right so it wouldn't look like just like a complete mirrored image like that sandwiched over. So hopefully it gives us kind of a more opportunity for variety using existing designs. You know, you want to get, you know, if I've mentioned this before, you know, my concept when designing stamps is, you know, it's a really good stamp if it looks good just in its entirety, okay? And it's a good stamp if it can be used alone, you know, use a stamp alone, you can put a quote out here or something like that, you know what I mean? For a really simple card, you know, there's that like whole like Facebook groups that are called like simple card making or something like that. And I really like how those types of cards, you know, where it's just, you know what I mean? There's just a couple images on there. I think it really showcases the look at the design, okay? But, you know, you want these designs to be able to be used incorporated with each other, you know, the sibling designs, replicated, dissected, and used for different portions. And I think the more uses you can get, you know, we can get out of our designs. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, you know, it's just getting more for your money, you know, worth. And space and everything like that. And that's the same thing for me as a manufacturer. You know, the more designs that I can get out of one design, the more usage I can get out of one design too. You know, I don't have to buy as many like engravings, and engravings are like really expensive these days. All right, so I want to just use a tiny bit of this. I want to just use a little bit of a, there's this image right here in the foreground that I've used right across the whole front of this instead of just using it off the left-hand side on a core page card. But let's just use this little portion right here, okay? Just that little part right here as a little bit of a, I don't know, intermediate ground, you know, before the background here, okay? So I'm just blocking this off right here because that's still inked up a little bit. Okay, so a little bit of a closer little thing like that, shoreline or whatnot, or foreground shoreline. And let's see, let me see, what did it? Oh, Linda almost messaged Pat. let's see, the pagoda on the top of the mountain. Yeah, that little pagoda right there. It was like it needed, we needed something. It was the perfect little thing to add up there, huh? Like a little focal point. All right, let's see here. Let's see this little pavilion. I wonder if this pavilion will fit there. Huh. Let's try that there. I'm going to add this one in the foreground, like this. Okay. Some of these little pavilions are more kind of, you know, decorative, when I started looking at these things online. I didn't even know what they really were, to tell you the truth, But they said it was just like this the little thing, for like it could be for travelers that wanted just some shady little area, they're kind of the centerpieces for like like large landscapes or something like that, gardens and whatnot. But anyways, yeah, little thing in the foreground like that. I can put something in, a little fisherman in the background or something like that too. But I think that looks pretty decent there in the foreground too. So, let's see here. All right. So anyway, so far so good, I think. As long as these things are kind of working out like I wanted them to. I'm getting real smudgy everywhere. My hands. It's like covered in and it's almost like charcoal or something like that. It's ink. But I'm getting real smudged up everywhere like that. But I'm not going to worry about that. This is a stamp sketching video or whatever. And I don't know, the smudges will get incorporated in with the rest of the design anyways. All right, let's see here. Let's try really, see it more of a dramatic focal point here while we're on these, and I have all these kind of mounted up already anyway. But let's try it with something like this one right here. Oh, what size do I want to use? Let's go with this half-page piece right here, and I'll put this right down here. Do I want to go 3/4? I think this one's right here. This one's seems to lend itself to centralized a centralized impression right here. And this is a pavilion with bridge. This place exists. It's my version of it. It's not a direct copy, but I found this on the internet. I thought, oh, that looks pretty cool. Because I definitely knew I wanted some kind of little pavilion. You wanted some kind of anchoring imagery that, can finish off these pieces, whether people use them or not, like something like this I think would be kind of cool in here. But I think little things like that, little structures, little, focal points, landing points like that, kind of round the piece off. So I had all these other elements done, but the thing that took me a while to release these new stamps were doing little things like these little characters in here that really finish off this system, I think, really well. And I thought, oh my God, I gotta do these structures. I kind of have to get into the swing of things with the structures and doing kind of architectural, kind of hard perspective types of imagery. Because most of the imagery that I'm doing is kind of more organic. But on these ones right here, where you're talking about like architecture, you have to get the perspective right, otherwise it looks kind of weird. And, I'm not like an architect. So, it's like pulling out the, the straight edges and stuff like that to get, all the spacing between the tiles and everything like that, right? It's not, I can do that type of thing. It's a little bit tedious though. But there's no way around it. You know, you have to get that right. You have to get those little things like that correct. Like in this lighthouse. This lighthouse took forever to do, you know, and get those windows and everything like that done correctly. Otherwise, it looks weird. It's like doing like trim and stuff like that. Okay. All right, fairly dramatic. This one right here, I think, would be really awesome in photo stamp. Let me do it on photo stamping right here. Let me see something. I was dreaming about this one in like a photo stamping type of I don't know, setting. Let me see if I have a good cloud stamp right here. Everyone know what photo stamping is? It's just stamping on top of a photo. A lot of people don't know what it is. It's kind of one of those, I don't know if it's a lost type of technique. A lot of people were doing it like in the 90s, and then I started doing it a little bit again. I don't know, maybe it's been 2 years at this point in time. But a lot of people, it's like a forgotten thing, you know, unless you're stamping back in the 90s. But all you do is just stamp on, you know, this is photo paper right here, and it accepts dye-based inks really well. You can use your StazOn or solvent inks on this type of paper as well, but dye-based inks are perfectly conducive for that. Which I've learned, I guess, like photo papers, that ink that they use on there, I guess it makes sense. I don't know. I always figured it'd be like some kind of solvent ink, you know, when they're doing photo processing and whatnot. But as far as like printers go, I guess those are water-based inks, you know, in your home inkjet printer, which is kind of interesting to me. But okay, so if you're stamping this in dye-based inks, then you can color in there with your Copic markers, your alcohol markers, and whatnot, and it won't smear, you know, your water-based dyes. Okay, but if you want to stamp it in your solvent ink, you know, color it with something else other than, you know, Copics or something like that, you know, alcohol inks. All right, let's just see what this looks like right here. I'm just kind of curious. All right, so see that right there? And then I'll create some kind of horizon in there, like ocean, or I can use the seaside cove or something like that. But I thought that looks kind of mystical like that. And like these clouds like this too, you can have, maybe I'll try it here with the mountains here in a bit, but with these clouds right here, where you have these existing clouds in a photograph like this, okay, you can download all these photos. There's a gazillion photos of clouds and stuff like that and skies out on the internet. But if you go to my Flickr account, I have all these files that are free for download and printing. But what I was getting at right here is we can take stuff like this cloud right here, and then you can mask off the cloud like this a little bit, okay? And then you stamp those mountains behind it, so you have these types of mountains right here coming out from the clouds, okay? Now they're going to look a little bit light and airy until you kind of fill them in with, you know, with some tone or something like that, okay? All right, so let's see. I don't want to do anything like this right now because it's like super juicy right now. Like I said, I just really re-inked my black pad, so it's going to smear and everything like that if I start using it right away. But okay, so this one's right here, but let's put this in this, you know, this type of setting right here in the distance right here. So let's say this is, you know, over this, coming out into this lake, and let's put this imagery alongside it and kind of frame it off a little bit, all right? Like, you know, this is the left and right side, but, you know, let's just do this here. I've been using this left and right side on the left and right sides like that. Let's do it the opposite. Let's go with the Mystic Trees right, and let's put it on the left-hand side, okay? And hopefully I've designed it you know, decent enough where it doesn't look, you know, kind of awkward. Sometimes I flip things around and I've been looking at it one way for so long, like a left-hand side one, and then I'll flip-flop it like on Photoshop, and it's like, oh my God, that looks so weird, you know? And I'll try to balance it off to where, you know, it'll look, you know, good either way. But see, I do have these kind of things sloping in like that so that it naturally slopes into the scene like that. So this one's going to be a little bit different, you know, it's going to be like that, you know, up there. Jeannie messaged Pat. Everyone's mentioning Pat. Yeah, I'm glad you're on there, Pat. Okay, so blotting it off right here. This one right here, this rock over here on this side, it's a little bit heavier like this in terms of solid area. And it's, again, you know, because if it's used on this right-hand side like that, I make it heavier in here where it's darker over here because it's going to be on the left-hand side. So it's kind of framing the scene off. And as it moves in, there's a little bit of a darker rock right here, but you can see it gets lighter through here in the rock structures, okay? And that's, again, it's by design. But like I said, you know, we shouldn't have to be, you know what I mean? You don't have to only use it in one way, okay? So let's see what it looks like. Okay, just like that. And then we'll use the other one on the other side. I close this one off quite a bit. I'm gonna not come in too far, so we'll have a, you know, a larger kind of background in there. I'm getting the feel for you know, kind of the usage of these as I go here. So, all right, let's see. Careful with your tack and peel if you just cleaned it off because it's very sticky. And this is very old tack and peel too. You can see it where it's all stained and stuff like that, but this is like really tacky, you know. This is a big block. See, it's just sticking to my hand like that. This heavy block, you know. All right, let's see. I'm going to put this right here because I'm just going to use this side of it on the right side. I'll probably just be using about this much of it or something like that. But you can see I've inked up over here. If you're going to use like that portion of it, don't ink up just to right here or something like that, because I've seen too many times where someone just thinks, okay, I'm just going to use this portion of it, and they ink up right to that level, and then they stamp it out, and then there's this big, you know, space in between there, you know what I mean? Where they stamped out more of the image, or they utilized more of the image than what they intended. So just, you know what I mean? It just takes a little bit more ink, you know, come over there a little bit more. All right, so wiping it off like so, and let's go a little bit higher like this. When you go a little bit higher, that represents something that's a little bit more distant than this one. So you're going like this, you know. I won't have it way up here though. Let's go about like that. All right. And let's go with this. Let's come in with this one right here. We'll use the left hand hills right over here, and maybe the right one up here, and give this a little bit more distance. Wait a minute, Pat is the photo stamping your favorite technique? That's cool. If that's what you're referring to. I'm not anal when it comes to the usage of my designs, but I'm really anal when it comes to the designing of the designs. So when I get into it, that's why I haven't got like I haven't been doing too many of these videos, live videos. It's like once a week or something like that. So, you know, some of those days I was doing like a video like every day. You know, they're like those live streams. But you have to get in the mindset. It's like as soon as like the designs are like really flowing, you know, I have to kind of just only do that. Otherwise, it's like you kind of I don't know. You kind of like lose the not ability, but you lose the flow of it. So and I start seeing other things too. You know, when I start designing them like that, it's like okay, if I'm doing it like this, then that should be able to use, you know, flip flopped. And how is it going to look flip flopped? So it's like, oh yeah, you know, I got to remember all those things, you know, because it might be like, you know, sometimes it's like years in between designing. So, you know, sometimes I forget those little elements like that until I kind of get really kind of in, you know, whatever, like engulfed in the process. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta, you know, remember to do this, this, and this, and whatnot, and you know where to make things a little bit heavier and where to make things lighter. Um, Within the design, you know, as far as like, you know, I think okay, you know, I got to make this area really good because you know whatever who you know Linda and Jeannie are going to be you know they're going to just use this part of the design, so you got to make that you know usable just on its own. And not just used in its entirety, you know. All right, so let's see here. This one's going like this. Now see this right here? This one right here, that design only went to like right here, okay? Like that. It didn't even go over here, but it doesn't need to because it's all going back into the, like the cloud. So we don't have to get things, to blend, you know, like super well because hey, it's just, you know, that's going back into a cloud there. All right, so see, taking off quite a bit of ink right there, where I'm going to be overlapping it over this one. You know, because to see this one right here, it's not going over there, but I don't need it to in this system right here. Okay, let's have these ones right here really kind of disappear into that, you know, our mystic mist. All right, see that right there? So we're getting some good depth right there, I think. All right. All right, let's see. I usually leave this little tiny rock small stamp mounted on a, I should mount it on a piece of wood. It's not on my little acrylic block. I don't have very many stamps like this tiny size right here, but there are some that have come out that are this size now in this new line. But let's give this a little bit of an anchor point again. Okay, down here. So you use it in its kind of stronger area, and then you kind of use it in these lighter impressions as well to kind of mimic what you're doing with this right here. Stronger impressions of the rocks, lighter ones. Okay, so it's kind of going from stronger and lighter in there. Okay. that. And so kind of, like I said, I didn't create shadows for these ones, so you can kind of create a little bit of this shading like this. It's giving you a head start in terms of, when you start adding color or tone to this, just so you're not having to color just blank area like that, okay? Now this little pavilion right here, I believe that something like this would be in, you know what I mean? It's not going to be, this walkway out here. It's not going to be in 20 feet of water or something like that, okay? They would do something like this in shallow, in a shallow area like this. So I'm going to put some rocks out here, because like in shallow water, you can see the bottom of the, whatever, the lake or pond. So I'll give these some stronger impressions so that when I go over it with my tone, I'll be able to see that type of texturing underneath the, the surface of the water, okay? And you can put some of these out here too, like that. I always find having a little bit of texturing like that, it helps me when I start to blend in, tone into my scenes. It's just a nice head start. And I don't have to be super smooth in terms of my application or anything like that, because it already has some texturing in there to kind of, provide a little bit of a, oh, I don't know. It's like a, I don't know, head start or whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right word here. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit more I need to go a little bit more like that. Over here too. Okay, I don't know if I'll go too much on this one, but something like that. See if there's a little bit of a tail like that. Okay, like I said, a lot of it's going to be underneath tone, so it's not just going to be looking like that, like on top of bare, white paper too, okay? Let's see. What was that about the tack and peel? Candy, what are you doing? All I do is I rinse mine off with, tap water. And it's, perfectly tacky again. You have to run it under water, wipe it off, and then let it air dry. Don't wipe it off with something, otherwise it's going to get all linty again. After a short time of use, Jeannie, do you have anything on? Oh, okay, well, if you're not using tack and peel anymore, but if you get paint on it or something like that, you got to scrub it off. So I don't know. I've been using mine for, some of mine. I don't know if it's, I don't think it's 20 years old, but it's getting up there. I think it's 17, 18 years old, because I remember I went to that Chicago scenic stamping retreat where Ken Pescio had it, and his was black. And he said, yeah, he never has any problem with it. And I was thinking, what? Yeah, this thing is his is black, absolutely black with ink. But he just wipes it off, and and that's what I'm finding with mine. But one of the things that I did do at one point in time, mine was getting really gummy. I think it was this one right here, on this block, this square block right here. See that? Look at this. I accidentally put this on top. Look at this right here. That's the tack and peel. Let me see if I can even get this off right here. Okay, see that? And see, this one's all stained up right here, Watch this right here. I don't want that dropping down here. Okay, But you know what I mean? Within reason. I mean, this is like a tiny little, speck of it right here. I can just put a tiny bit like that. I don't know if that's going to hold it. Almost, okay. If I put a pretty, good amount right there. And this is not new tack and peel on here, okay? So see, that's how it's holding this big block like that. Okay, but what I'm saying right here, this one got really gummed up and black and stained. So I took one of those scouring pads, the you know the green sponges, where it has the scouring side and the soft side, and I used that scouring side on it. It was just so gummed up and opaque. I figured, well, I don't have anything to lose, so I really scrubbed it off, and I let it dry, and it was like good as new. I don't know if it was good as new, but it was, it's pretty sticky, and this is it right here. So, you know, it's I don't know, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think I got like a special pack because I've used like three different packs for my tack and peel. So I don't know. Wash it off and try it again though. Wash it off with some soap if you want to, and give it a try. I'd really recommend trying it if it's something that you think you might want to utilize. Yeah. Okay, here's a kind of an unusual size right here. Let me do something. I want to try that photo stamping again with those mountains that I just talked about. So this is still kind of, stamp sketching right here. Now, when I stamp on these, I don't consider them done, okay? I stamp on them and then I color them in. I anchor everything down and I add in some more white. But let's go with... I'm trying to find one with some good formations in here that without too much texture. Let's go with I have some of these clouds too that are more grayscale, so that if people want to do other types of colors, I've kind of grayscaled them off like this instead of having a lot of blues in there, and I've cut down on the contrast on a lot of the photos so that we can use it a little bit easier with some photos. And let's use this one right here. Okay, let's see. Oh, so okay, so I wasn't going to do all this with the photo stamping, but just talking about it gets me really curious. I can put these like in clouds too. These like little island things as well. Let's just start off the mountains. It's easy to get sidetracked here when you haven't used these at all and you're seeing, what I mean, what these things look like. Oh, let's see. Let's use let's use this little mountain in the background right here. Okay, so this one's getting really pushed back in the distance like this with these lighter mystic hills left and right there. So I'm going to take this one and blot it off there first so I can go for some really light hills in that little opening back in here, okay? So let's go like that, and let's use even the third impression like that. Like back in there like that, okay? There's a lot of pigment ink in here, when I use that, and I'll be streaking in some different colors. Maybe I'll do that on the next live stream or something like that. We'll finish some of these off. But let's see what these mountains might look like on here. Let me see. Maybe this isn't a good photograph. I want more of like a billowy thing kind of coming up. This one's like, I think this photograph is like this with the, breaking the clouds like that. Okay, let's see. Tack and peel losing its stick. Yeah. Give that a try right there with the tack and peel. Yeah, I mean, you can use foam, mounting your stamps as well. Mounting your stamps is just, you have to, have the mounting thing, the cling on each one of the things instead of having a more centralized system. I do like using my set stamps, though, the cling foam ones, I would have to say. But in terms of storage, of course, nothing easier than unmounted, stamps. Okay, let's go with this one right here. Here's more of this kind of upward billowy type of thing right here. I think, I don't know how many clouds that are on that Flickr gallery. Let's go with that right there. And you can see I just got these, printed off at Costco. Unfortunately, the Costco's don't have that, counter anymore in store, but you can order them online. Or Shutterfly sometimes, like, there's like crazy kind of deal, like where it says like, order, I don't know, whatever it's 250 or 500 prints free. You just pay the shipping. I don't know how they do that. I think they're still doing it. I think that something like that just came out like a couple months ago. I didn't order them though, but I probably should have. Okay, let's a little bit of foreground like this. Okay, I'm just kind of curious right here. I'll have this real low like this, okay, because I want to focus on those mountains kind of coming out from the base. Well, I don't know what to say, Jeannie. Maybe you scrubbed off too much of your tack and peel, but I've been pretty aggressive with mine. And, as far as the scrubbing, I don't know how many times I would do that, that green scouring sponge method. I probably wouldn't do that, many, many times, okay? But doing it once was fine, and it took off all the ink. It kind of scratched up the surface where it wasn't as see-through. So you can see this is more translucent a little bit. You can kind of see, a little bit through there. But the more you kind of use that scouring on there, the less kind of see-through this is. Okay, so let's go with... all right, let me go with the March. Oh, I forgot about these other trees. Where is it? Okay, this right here. I'll stamp the mountains first. Look at this, you can just stamp one stamp. See, you're done. Sometimes I post these photo stamping things like on like Facebook. And I do always say, I say this is using the photo stamping technique. And sometimes people say, hey, that, those clouds look really real. And I don't take credit for it. I always say, hey, they look real because it's a photograph, And I explain the photo stamping, whatever technique, where you stamp on an actual photograph. Okay, so let's see here. Those are some mountains right there, and we'll have those coming out from some of these clouds. Like about like so. But if you do the photo stamping technique and you guys post, scenes up somewhere and people say, oh my God, your clouds look amazing. You say, yeah, thanks. All right. See that right there? Mountains in the clouds, right? See, should we just use the same one? I was going to use the smaller one right over here, but let's have it coming out of the clouds. This other one right up here. Actually, maybe we'll do the smaller ones right back in here. Or I can just leave it like that. Yeah, I might just leave it like that. It looks kind of cool, huh? Let's go with the other tree here. I have this twisting pine tree right here. This twisting pine, when you use it, it's kind of designed a little bit more where it's like curving like that. I think if you mount it and it's like that, it's kind of losing the gesture of it. It's one of those like pines, it's almost like a bonsai pine, where it's more like this, where it's kind of going into it. But I did the left and right side, where one's kind of leaning this way and the other one's kind of leaning the other way. This one's smaller just so it's not, so, exactly the same here. So it's like this, where you have it kind of leaning in like this. So here's your composition like this. You get one kind of leaning in this way to kind of direct the viewer's attention into the scene like that. All right. All right, let's see. Hello, Donna. All right. Like that. I'm gonna do another one like that. I think that looks pretty good right there. I'm gonna do another one a bit like this down here. Oh, I need like an eagle or something like that flying in here. These are supposed to be like some trees. You're on like another mountain, like up at elevation, looking down into this like cloudy valley or something like that. I guess these pines, they get that way. I see these pines, like when I go up and like hiking at elevation or something like that. A lot of times they're like growing out of rocks and granite, like a crack in the, rock or something like that. And I guess it's like from like severe weather, wind and rain and everything like that. So you get these things. Sometimes I guess I was reading on these trees like this, and sometimes the trunk, it grows down like that. It's the base of it is higher than the most of the tree or whatnot, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but wouldn't something like that, wouldn't that be cool to have like the birds like down here? Usually I have birds, up a little bit higher in the horizon or something like this, but on something like this. So that's something like this. I mean, you can, if you had a little quote stamp or something like that, I think that would be kind of cool. It's kind of like a poetic like type of thing. And like I said, I'm not done with this, that's just kind of the layout right there, you know. Um, and something like this, if I had room, you can put that little pavilion up there too, like that. You know, that I didn't leave like too much space for it, but I mean, something like that would be kind of cool, like that. It's one of those little things like up at elevation. Like sometimes, I don't know if it was like it's not the Matterhorn, but like in the Alps, there's like little cabins, that they have up at like high altitude, that used by hikers and stuff like that. But you can have like these little kind of symbols like that up at about on the top of your mountains. All right, so that is photo stamping right there. Okay, I think that looks pretty cool like that though. With the clouds, I think it's perfectly conducive for the use. I'm gonna have to take some like new photographs, with these images in mind, I think. Um, and I also need to start printing out some different sizes too on the home printer. 4x6s are really inexpensive when you get these, but when you start moving up into like the 5x7s, look at my hand here, like it's like covered in soot. Um, they get a little bit more expensive, or maybe that's where the home printer comes in, or you can do like elongated pieces like this. Like I think this one like really cool. Can you imagine this one right here stamped on top of like this cloudy background like that? If we added those clouds in there, we're practically like done, with the card, because a lot of the light and shadow and toning is already kind of taken care of. Like I said, I would color this in a lot more, with some, I'm going to use the alcohol markers and whatnot, just to give these images a little bit more mass. I'll bring a little bit brown into the trunk or something like that. Or you can bring some green into this, the trees in here too. And then I would hit it again with some white pigment ink, which I'll do in a later video or something like that. But I think something like this would be fantastic in a photo stamping, type of format. All of these really, I think, would look great with that cloudy type of background. Or, I don't know, I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but I guess, if you had some like sunsetty colors, that might look cool too. All right, so let's see if some of these are just kind of dry enough. I didn't want to start like toning in on any of these things and have it like totally smear on me, but I think this has been sitting around long enough here. Let's just take a look and see what one of these looks like with a little bit of tone on there and shadow. Let's see, Aleene's tack it over and over. Oh, is that what who uses the Aleene's tack it over and over? Do you use that, Candy? That's what I used to recommend for people that were using unmounted stamps with, their, the Misties and what, the positioners and whatnot. And then I started recommending, the thing that I liked, what I saw it was the purple onion, which is basically the speedball gel plate thing that they just put on to the Misty, for making those impressions and whatnot. I don't know anything about it, just someone told me about that years ago. So it's like, oh, okay, that thing looks pretty good, and it makes it more of a centralized type of thing again in terms of, your mounting, or I guess absence of needing to mount your imagery. Okay, so I'm going to use some of the Memento London Fog. You can just go into this with black, but I think I'm going to use the London Fog here as an intermediate, value before I get to just straight black, because this is a fairly large piece right here. So in other words, this is going to be fairly grayscale, but let's actually use gray on here. You don't have to, okay? Like I said, I've done it before. One of the exercises I do in one of my classes is I just have people achieve grayscale tones just using black ink. So you can go from a darker tone, lighter grays like that, to get these tones in here. But I'm just going to move it through the lighter, juicier ink first, okay? Just to achieve a little bit more, I don't know, whatever, richness in these grayscale tones. Yeah, I haven't heard people mention the Aleenes in a while, but good to know. Good to know. Okay, so did someone already ask this? But how long does the Aleenes tack it over and over last? Do you have to reapply that, or when the Aleenes tack it over and over, do those get less tacky? And can you just wash it off? And are they tacky again, or do you reapply the tack it over and over again to that? That's the things that I want to know. Okay, so on this right here, I got to think about this because, I'm doing a little bit of a different technique here than I've done in the past. Like, I've anchored things down a lot of times with the use of shadow, right? But on this one, it's supposed to be like like mist and fog, so I don't know. I'm going to be learning this one as I go here, okay? So just in general, I want to kind of make things a little bit, where it's a little bit more framed off. So I'm going to make the edge of this a little bit darker, okay? Just in general, maybe not everywhere. And I'll try to leave some of this fairly light too. Probably lighter than what I'm used to. If it's supposed to be in all that kind of cloudy type of atmosphere. Maybe I'll use some colored pencils on this too, because this one is the semi-gloss paper as opposed to glossy, so the colored pencils work really well on this. This is just a paper towel. You can use whatever, you know, use your sponge applicators or whatever. I did try cotton ball recently. I thought that actually worked pretty good. I usually want something a little bit more absorbent, and the cotton balls just aren't really quite as absorbent as a, you know, paper towel. You know, paper towel is meant to, you know, sop up your, you know, whatever your spills, you know. It's meant for kind of wet, you know, absorption, so. So that's why I use this. After the Clear Snap stylus tools were discontinued due to, well, I don't know if they were discontinued. The whole, you know, company, you know, closed. All right, so see this right here? So I'm being a little bit more careful. I'm digging this a little bit slower just because I haven't really used, you know, kind of meant for a whole scene to be, you know, unless it was a cloudy scene, like a sky scene. I guess that's what I'm kind of approaching this like, you know, like I would be doing like almost like a sky scene, you know, like a field of clouds. Instead, you know, of billows like this, it's just, you know, it's the rocky island or something like that instead, okay? So I guess that's the spirit, you know, that we're looking for here, maybe, you know. If we're going for that. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of smearing here. Like I said, I really inked up that my black pad a lot, you know, this time. But I think it's kind of getting in the spirit of it, you know, in terms of, you know, the way that those, you know, ink paintings kind of look. You know, I'm just going to make this faster is if I could just go with where did my London Fog re-inker go? I just had it. I'm going to ink up directly onto this and make this juicier. And I don't want it too juicy because I don't want it, you know, just like totally, you know, dark in here. But that little bit right there that I just added in, see that right there? There we go. That's much more graceful. It was kind of dry. I was doing like a dry application here. I'll be careful when I'm going across this imagery though, because it's still, I guess it's still a little bit damp. And remember, this is a very absorbent semi-gloss paper. It's practically matte, you know. It feels very matte. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see. Now, what are we talking about licking? Licking what? I saw that licking, but you know, that was like a previous comment here. Wait, we're not talking about licking stamps, right? But I would rather wash it with stamp cleaner. The lazy, I clean the block too. Oh, no, you don't lick it. Well, I don't know. Does some people lick something? You know, stamping wise, you know, what are we talking about here? I've heard of like huffing on stamps, of course. You haven't heard about like licking in terms of like part of the process of some some type of media usage. Except for paintbrushes, like people like lick their paintbrush. I think, oh, that brings me back to, I think when I was in painting, my beginning painting class or something like that, they were talking about like some people used to lick their paintbrushes, when they were going with those like really fine point things, and they used to use this lead white paint. Back in whatever the old days. Now I think it's mostly titanium white now, but lead white used to be like the white color, and people would get like lead poisoning from that. Luckily, nothing like that, in stamping, lead, I don't think. All right, just ink that up. Okay. This is really juicy. I'm being really careful here. Okay, now the motion I'm using like this is like this, okay? It's not like this and then up, okay? It's like this, like you're sweeping something out. So that's how you get that like nice kind of tapered tail like that, okay? And I'm usually starting it from the outside in. Okay. Oh, okay. I was like, am I missing something with not licking some medium? One of the things about this Memento London, I almost don't need to go with black here. I'm thinking this Memento, or maybe I'm probably picking up some of the black in here, so it's probably a little bit darker than just the straight London fog here. All right, so let's see. Let's tweak this a little bit more here. We have a pretty decent tonal range here, I'm thinking. But let's go to black and let's anchor off a little bit more and frame just a touch more, and then we'll go with some, we'll try with some, maybe some colored pencil or something like that, just for a little bit of embellishment. Okay, so use the same applicator that you're doing right here. Okay. Using the same applicator and going into the next color or value that's a little bit darker, you get some version of, the previous color and the new color combined, okay? And that makes a nice transition. As you keep using this, it'll become more and more of just that straight, next color. I mean, it's not just this gray and black. It's whatever tones you're using, light blue, medium blue, darker blue, or something like that. Or if you're doing some meadow with a bunch of greens or something like that, you can transition into your darker greens. And it makes for the blending of those darker colors on your scenes. Which is, the thing that, if there's going to be some kind of, more difficulty in blending something together, it's always going to be the darkest of tones. But you don't always have to use the darkest of tones. You just use those intermediate colors before you get to that darker tone, so that when you get to that darker tone, it's already darker to begin with. And then you're using the same applicator, so it just blends in so much easier like that as a result. And also, the page is a little bit moist, so it blends in, even on, you know, a piece of paper like this that's very absorbent and, like I said, practically matte in whatever surface consistency. All right, so let's see here. That's your grayscale. Let's make it a little bit more interesting though, and let's bring in some other types of colors before we go into this with the white pigment ink, which it almost doesn't need, but I think the white pigment ink will look really good on it. So let's see. Let's try a little bit of some bluish tinge in here, and just kind of, let's see if we can make it a little bit more interesting. I like the gray look too, Joy, but let's see if we can kind of make it kind of a, play around with the temperature a little bit. Let's tweak it a little bit and give the grayscale a little bit more character. Like I said, that London fog to me looks a little bit more of a cool tone gray. Although I look at it up here, it looks almost like warmth in some of these areas for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, so here's a little bit of a lighter blue. Okay, so I'm going to keep this very subtle, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see it at all. But yeah, okay, so let's see if I can get a little bit closer without... Okay, you can tell me if you can see this little bit of a kind of a richer turquoise-ish tinge. Yeah, you can see a little bit right there, can't you? You can see the difference between on here. Maybe we go a little bit richer in the foreground where there's like a little bit more of a character in terms of the gray, but as it moves back in the distance, it's more distant, so you don't have quite as much kind of temperature definition, maybe, I guess we can call it. So see what I'm not just coloring the white part, I'm kind of coloring the darker area in here, and then I'm creeping it into this lighter area so that I can get that nice kind of transition into those areas. See that? Doesn't it look like it's glowing a little bit more, just with a little bit of temperature? In this case, I don't know, it's blue. It's supposed to be like a cooler temperature, but in this case, this turquoise is a little bit of a warm blue. If you're doing this on matte papers or whatnot, some of you use like pan pastels. Pan pastels would be awesome, I think, with this imagery like this, because you can get those, like these cloudier, kind of streaky areas in there like that. I don't do it. I haven't done pan pastel. I haven't tried them. So one of you guys are have to do that. All right, so here's a little bit that, like I said, that's like a silvery-ish. I think it gives a little bit more of a silvery-ish, or I don't know, what color would you call that right there? It's not a steel blue. It's a little bit more of a cheery blue than that, I think. Well, let's go with a little bit like that, and then let's bring in, I'll keep this fairly subtle right here, but here's like a couple green, hues. Now, coloring these trees right here, they're just black, okay, but I've left areas in them for a little bit of toning if you want to add that in there. If we can do this in a much more colorful type of format. I was thinking about, I've seen images where these hills like this are covered in like pink blossoms and all the trees around it. So something like this, we can make this like in a real springy type of thing. I mean, they're pines, you know what I mean? But I think it'd look okay if we did like these and those pink types of tree, blossoming tree types of thing like this, you know what I mean? In this whole type of environment. I think that'd be really cool too. So you have to take a look. Did we ever do that as a challenge? No, wasn't that a challenge one time, Linda? I don't know if Linda's still in here, but where we did the, a bunch of people did like purple or pink trees. I don't know, maybe it was even just like a couple months ago, it seemed. I don't know, maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't remember. Okay, so I'm just adding this. It's not like real distinctive. Okay, here, let me add a little bit of a warmer green. Maybe you can see it in here, but just to give a tinge of, another color. And in these rocks down here, I always found that a little bit of green on kind of waterside rocks looks good, in terms of like moss or something like that growing on the rocks. I always thought that was kind of cool to do that. I do that quite often. See, there's a little bit of a different glow in here. I don't know if you can tell. There's a little tinge of it right in here. I don't want to go too, extreme in, the distance. Usually the more foreground types of things, you see brighter colors, and then as it moves into the distance, it's a little bit more kind of indistinct, not quite as distinct in terms of your brightness, okay? So here's a little bit of brown. One of the things you can use too, because these are all water-based media, if you want to use your, your alcohol pens, you can too. Here's a little bit of like a, a tan or something like that. It's a really pale tan, and it shouldn't. On mine, my black pad was so juicy. I don't know. It could kind of smear it a little bit, but it shouldn't put it back into solution. Actually, that looks pretty good. You see that little tinge like that? Let's see if we can give this a little bit of a temperature like that. Can you see that temperature? Is that showing at all? I guess it depends what you're viewing it on. If you're viewing it on like a small, like if you're watching like on a phone, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but if you have a little bit of a larger monitor, maybe you can see some of this temperature like this. So it's giving a little bit of warmth to those hills in the distance. Let's put this all over here. I like that kind of warmth in these rocks right down here and some of these tree trunks. And again, this is like a really pale beige apricot. This one's practically like invisible. It's like a, I don't know, whatever, like a 3% green. Okay, let's see. Let me go with my black pencil now. And I'm going to anchor down some of these areas just a little bit more. I'm not going to do too much because I'm going to put it in clouds or, mist even more so. But if I just want to, I don't know, kind of give some of these a little bit more mass, you can do it with something like this. Or like I said, your alcohol pens or whatever. So it gives this pieces a little bit more body, I think. All right, so white pigment ink. Let's see. I'll grab our cotton ball. You can use, on this type of paper, you can use any type of white pigment ink that you want. I've been using a lot of my Brilliance ink. Oh, I don't even know if my Hero Hues Unicorn is juicy anymore. Let's Let's see. I might need a re-inker for that. No, it looks pretty good. I'll just use this one, because a lot of people, you use whatever. This one's a oil-based white pigment ink. My Brilliance White, it works a little bit faster because it's fast drying, so I can get a little bit more buildup, but let's just use this one because a lot of you don't have Brilliance White. As long as this is juicy enough. I haven't used it in a while. Okay, so you get some pigment ink built up on here, okay? If it starts fraying your cotton ball, okay, what you do is you just kind of squeeze it down and you press some of that pigment ink back into there and get this nice and flat, okay? You don't want this like sopping wet or anything like that when you start using it on here. You want to use it more in the spirit of like you're applying powder to this surface right here, okay? That's the mindset, okay? So that when you start tapping it down like this, it's just, a really light shade. Okay, this one's pretty juicy. So I'm going to be careful not to go up in here really fast. So you start using it in lighter areas like this, and you can't really see it at all. And then what you do is you move it out where light meets dark or darker, and then you get that nice transitioning kind of lighter thing right there. See that area right in there? And so you're adding in, this is kind of implied in here that it's kind of in clouds. It already kind of looks like it's in clouds. So you're just kind of reinforcing that, See, that's where it goes, this area right down here, it tapers off in my design. I made it black, okay? But it's little dots and it tapers off like that. But it'll look like it tapers off even more if you make it kind of gray like that. See that like that? So it goes into the clouds a little bit more. So it's almost like you're putting like a little, you're putting a, pigment cloud down there, okay? But you don't want it to be completely opaque, like clouds, when you're looking through mist, there's different degrees of translucency, until it gets to opaque, okay? Now, if you want, like I got this big old blob of my fingerprint right there. Maybe I do want, to blot that off as much as possible. Then you can do that, with, a thicker, more opaque application of this if you want to. But, through the rest of it, you kind of want it to look more kind of misty and, atmospheric and whatnot. So see this right here? Let's put this in a little bit more mist. So I'm going to do it from the base up like this. So you start it in the light areas like this and just lightly tone. And see, but here's what you're doing. You're tapping it there for a while like that, right? And then come up here. Don't go like this, tap, tap, tap. Okay. Just kind of work it around and then slowly. And then when you go up into your darker areas where you're starting to apply it, just to get a feel for it, just kind of tap a little bit and take a look at it and see how it looks. But see that cloudy mist like that? It looks like mist because I didn't put a big blob over it, like that. Like this one right here, here's this, the Mystic Hills in the background. Here's this tree in the foreground. If I want to create a little more separation between this tree and this background like this, it looks okay as is, but let's create this little bit more separation. Now I'm just going to put my finger here so you can see what I'm kind of working around. I normally wouldn't do that, but I just want you to see where that is, where those trees are. I'm not using my finger as a mask or anything like that. I just want you to show you where I'm applying this. So you see, I just build it up from the base like that. And see that little bit of white mist like that, it creates separation between this more, mid-ground or distant object from these trees right here. So this tree comes out a little bit more in the foreground. And again, it looks like it's in that cloudy mist. Let's do it a little bit more right up top there. Like this. So see this right here? If you ever stamp anything too dark, and you want to create a little bit more separation, then just, knock it down with some white when you're done. Not just in scenic stamping with anything. I use this technique too, as I mentioned in many videos, you know what I mean? If I don't like anything. Now, I didn't dislike this, okay, but you can obliterate something kind of, by knocking it way back in the distance just by putting a cloud over the front of it, or, this mist, It doesn't have to obscure it completely, but, you know, and having that cloudy thing, it usually makes it look better anyway. Okay, now see that little bit of a cloud in the distance there? Let's put some of this right back in there. Okay, so this is, with these images, this little technique right here is really fun because we've really, the imagery is already giving you a big head start because it's already it's already kind of representative of something in the mist anyway. But look how easy this was to do. All these things are all separated, right? None of them are kind of linked together with other land masses or anything like that. I linked them together with a little bit of, tone or something like that. But for the most part, they're kind of separated. But it looks, that's the way they're supposed to look. So it really takes a lot of the... it's just a really easy application when you can have all your different land masses completely separated from each other, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Or can be, I should say. I don't want to lock people into, putting clouds in between all these things all the time, but, like I said, you can. Okay, now see these, little people down here. Let's put those in a little bit of, little mist. Okay, now here's the thing. Don't do it over everything like this. Kind of oscillate it, okay? So you have a little bit of this cloud right here, okay? And then it's nice and sharp right there, so you get that little bit of contrast like that. This little boating fisherman, right here, or fisherman, whatever, 2 or 3, whatever it's called. I'll put that little guy in a little bit of this mist as well. Okay. I kind of stamped him at a little bit of an angle, so I was going really fast. Maybe I'll obscure him a little bit like that, where he's like in the mist, and that guy is a little bit more sharp, or a little bit of cloudy atmosphere like that. This tree right here can be a little bit bottomlit, so you can put that like that. See how much fun that is? It kind of changes the texture of your, or it enhances, it extends the, the textural range of your pieces right here too. Okay, now if you're ever doing this type of pigment ink on glossy cardstock, pigment inks have the reputation of not drying on glossy cardstock, okay? But if you're just adding this really light layer onto, a more sealed glossy cardstock, okay, it will, I think it adheres pretty, fine, but it also dries just fine. The thing that doesn't dry is if I take and I make an impression using that type of oil-based pigment ink onto a glossy cardstock, because it's just going to be a thick application of it. But when you're just doing a real thin layer like this, it's fine. And then, you can spray seal it after if you want to. But it adheres pretty good, just doing it in a light layer like this on the glossies that I've used, at least, okay? Because I wasn't using Brilliance inks, at all, really, through, I don't know, whatever, the last 20 years I've been doing this type of technique like this, of adding, pigment ink, over my stamp scenes. And it was, most of the times it was on glossy, and most of the times it was color box, what was that? Moonlight White, or I don't know, whatever color, Clear Snap, the color box one, color. All right, so I'm adding in a little bit more as I go. I'm getting a little bit more gutsy here. And plus, when this white pigment ink dries on here, it dries a lot more see-through. So if you want to have it a little bit more opaque, you have to kind of layer it in there, which is good because if it dries a little bit more see-through, sometimes it blends in with the background a little bit more, and it gives you a chance to, kind of tweak it more, because you can always add more, okay? But that's better than something like drawing lighter than what it looks like, because you might overdo it, if that was the case. All right, so, yeah. So a lot more clouds. And you can use your oil-based ones in conjunction if you have Brilliance White too. Brilliance White will build up a little bit more because it's a water-based and fast drying, and you can build it up to, you can't really build it up to opacity, but you can get a lot closer to it with that. But that being said, like I said, this one's a lot more user-friendly because it dries, much more see-through, Okay, so anyways, see that cloud in the background like that? So we have our imagery like that. All right. Let's go here. Let's go. I'm in need of some more white, extra fine paint pens right here pretty soon. Hello, Froggy Fresh. Did someone else join in? Laura, did you just join in? Did I say hi? Hello? Anyone else? Hello to everyone else that's watching, that doesn't comment. Great to have you in as well. What white are you using? Pat, I'm using the Hero Hues Unicorn, but I'm using it to make a point, though. I would normally use my Brilliance White, okay? But I know that, a lot of people don't have that. If you don't have it, you should get it, though. That's one of my staples. Brilliance. Okay, Brilliance. You don't need a ton of Brilliance inks, okay? If you have a Brilliance Black and a Brilliance White, it opens up the floodgates in terms of what you can stamp on, okay? It opens up foils, whatever, vellums, all kinds of different surfaces that a lot of times what people have, already have in their list of supplies. So, okay, I'm just going to adding in this little additional texturing on these trees. See how those trees stand out a little bit more? So see these trees right here? I'm going to bring those out from the distance. They're not like, I didn't make them dark or anything like that, but they're just a little bit toned in. And I can just bring them out a little bit more with this white right here. I guess I don't know if you can see that, but see those trees? Those tree trunks tend to stand out a little bit more, kind of a little bit more 3D to you. And let's put some of these highlights on these two rocks right in here, or these, not two rocks, but two images. We'll do the right and left side. So on some of these rocks, I've left them a little bit light in the design. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of highlighting in that light area. So you're just, if you don't know where to put it, you can just look at the design and see where it's a little bit lighter, okay? See that right there? So it brings that image out a little bit closer to us. And I'll do it on this one right here, which is another, representatively closer image than those ones in the distance like that, So you see a little bit more detail in near types of imagery, more texture, more color, maybe. And we can put a little bit of a shimmering light. I don't know if you can see this at all. Sorry, I can't zoom in. It'll go completely out of focus on me. But I'm putting this little shimmery detail down here in the water, like that. Okay, I don't know if you can see that down here, okay? So little highlights like that. Little atmospheric, I don't know, whatever, environmental stamping. Let's try something on this. And we'll call it a live stream. Let's see, let's try to color in some of these mountains a little bit. Okay, so this is largely grayscale, or it's all grayscale. But let's see some different tones. Let's go with the, let's go with these tones right here. A little bit, kind of earthy, or real earthy, I guess. And then let's see, let's go with the a little bit of blue like that. And let's see if I can add in some different tones into these hills right here. Did I plan this scene before the live stream? No. Okay, this one's the one that I had stamped out before the live stream, okay? But I mean, it's, you know, it's real similar to any of these right here. I really like this one right here, this slim line with that pavilion up top there. But no, I don't know. All these were kind of impromptu. Like I said, I did stamp this one. This one's utilizing all the different imagery in the Mystic system, except for the foreground, kind of bent pines. But see, this is using left and right foreground. This is the left and right midground, and then this is the large and small, background hills. So I just really wanted to see how that would look, just playing around with the imagery. But I don't know, I really like this a lot too, though. You know, just, like I said, I mean, all this imagery has been designed to be used in conjunction with one another, but it can also be used separate from each other too. I've seen these Chinese paintings too, where it's just like all hills coming out of the clouds, and like you're looking down into it, and that looks really cool too. I'll have to do something like that too, or try it out. But it would really be cool with a little bit of a saying, though, like a quote stamp, because I think that I don't know, just this type of look right here is like, I don't know, it's like tailor made for some sort of quote stamp. It doesn't have to be anything too, I don't know, Zen-like or anything like that. You know, happy birthday. There's a little bit of greenish tinge. Okay, that's completely invisible here in this situation right here. Let's see if I can get a little bit of temperature with this one might be a little bit too brown here. I'm going to do this thing called scumbling when you're doing painting with it. You're just kind of going like this a little bit, and then I'm going to blend it out with the other color, okay? Because this one's a little bit too dark for me. But you get it laid down there like that. And then, with your kind of blender, I'm not using a blender pen, I'm just using another color right here. And I'll just go and spread them around. Because you can really spread these alcohol colors on photo paper around really well, because they're really, they don't go, these alcohol inks just do not, I don't think they penetrate the surface of this emulsion coating like at all, okay? So you can just, they're sitting right on top there. So I think even if it was dried out completely, you can go in here, and if you wanted to remove it, you can probably do it with your blender pen, or just a really light tone. Here's a really light blue right here. Let's add some of this blue down into these clouds as well, maybe. Give it a little tinge. Oh, I almost forgot about this branch right here. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I didn't do very much there. It just here. Let's go a little bit more extreme. Here's like this olive green. Yeah, that's better. Actually, that looks pretty good. That olive green on there looks pretty good. Let's bring a little bit of this into this tree. I'll bring a little bit of color up there. Normally, if you want color in solid types of stamping imagery, you color the stamp, and then you stamp it on there is where you get that color. But this one, I'm just adding a little tinge of a tone, just so it's not just straight grayscale. All right, so that's not that. Here, let's go a little bit more. All right. That's better, I think. Okay, so that is that. But here's what's fun. You go back with your pigment ink. Okay, I'm going to use my Brilliance on this one, just so I get a thicker coating faster here. But you probably could use the Hero Hues. I'm not sure on the emulsion vapor. It would probably apply just fine, and I think it would dry just fine because it's just a really thin application of it. Let me see something. This really would be great with some birds or something there. Let's see if I... Okay, I think I put most of my other stamp... Oh, okay, here we go. I left out my gulls here. Okay, let's see. I'm going to stamp it in Brilliance right here. I'm going to put these gulls down. I'm going to put these right over here. Like that. And it adds a little bit of a focal point into the scene. All right, and then let's go with the cotton ball. I'm going to switch cotton balls just because this one is oil-based pigment ink in here, and this one's totally water-based. So let's try that out here. Let's see. My kid found a kitten on the back deck. You named him Dexter. That was one of my son's friends' names, except with the DEX. So the DECKs, that's cool. All right, so photo stamping with cloud types of imagery. It's really fun to add in that extra cloudy touch back into it, okay? And it really incorporates everything I need. I need to be careful with that impression there. It might be a little bit wet. I did stamp him out in the Brilliance ink, so it'd dry really fast. But I don't want to get that smeared. So here's the cloud right here, where it's transitioning into this mountain right there. And let's have it transition a little bit more, I don't know, whatever, gracefully, with some additional tone like this, okay? Hopefully you can see this, what's happening right here on the, you know, this video right here. Hopefully it's reading what I'm doing here. I know this is a little bit subtle right here, but see that? See where that's a little bit different than over here? Let's add this in over here. I'll go a little bit more heavy-handed so you can see it a little bit easier maybe. Okay, but isn't that where cloud, where it's like creeping up like that? You know, that white, it's going into it. So it's really, I believe that when you do these things, when you stamp them right over the tops of, you know, whatever cloudy backgrounds or skies like this, if it has some white in it and you're using the white pigment ink, it really incorporates the imagery. It looks like it's sitting in that cloud a lot more. All right, so I don't need to do too much here. This, you know, here's this tree right here. So this tree looks, you know, it's fairly, see, I put some of that cloudy on the top of this, you know, branch, you know, limb over here. Let's do a little bit in here too. Let's leave that one fairly strong as it goes in here, but let's put a little bit of lighting on some of these branches a little bit. So it looks like some of the light and mist is on this tree. And I think it looks a little bit more three-dimensional, having light hitting it in a couple different areas, just so it's not kind of monotone, I guess, like this. Okay, so you can put it like that. I guess when you put it over these trees too, it kind of, I don't know, it gives a little bit more like height and scale, saying that these trees are in a little bit of that cloudy mist as well. And then you have this image of these birds like this. And one of the things I like to do too, hopefully this is dry. No, they're still wet. Okay, what I would do is I would put a little of this pigment ink over like those more distant, or I don't know, some of those birds where some of them are lighter and some of them are darker. So on these limbs right here, some of them are a little bit darker and some of them are a little bit lighter. So it's kind of bending, it's bending the imagery. It's turning the object in space, I guess you can call it. It looks more three-dimensional that way with, different types of lighting going over it. But see that like that? Here you just kind of creep that up. But you don't tone it all out. I guess you could if you wanted to. If it's like, oh, I don't like how that mountain's looking, to, you just blot it all out. But having just some of it coming on from the base like that, like these down here, looks really good. It really looks good in the photo stamping though, doesn't it? I like how light that is. Here, let's do a little bit more here. That influenced me right here too. I think, let's go a little bit more on this. Let's get a little bit more gutsy and really tone some of this out right here to where it's like really cloudy mist. My cotton ball's kind of fraying, so when you do that, just kind of smash it down a little bit. All right, so anyway, okay, let's see here. We'll do some more coloring on these. I want to add in some other types of values and temperatures and whatnot. I'm going to do some of this in just like a traditional, like a blue, crystalline blue lake or something like that too. Like I think that would be really good in this one right here. I'm not sure what color I want to do this one in. Maybe some blues or something like that too, but with a lot of cloudy formations coming around all these types of things, and a little bit more, I don't know, whatever definition up there. This one right here, we're going to, I don't know, do something in here off to the left and right hand. It's a little bit too symmetrical like this, so I'll have like a bank of clouds maybe coming in from one, side that's a little bit heavier than the other side. I think that would look good on something like this. Oh, and I want to do reflection cards of these types of things too. So this one, I have the larger pavilion like this, and I was thinking about having that, but on this bottom portion like that, on the, reflection card, like something like this would be really cool, reflecting down into the water down here in that type of format. I think that would be really cool. So, oh my God, there is a ton of exploration that will need to take place with all these things. I'm glad I have help with all of you. So we can see some different variations and different techniques and stuff like that too, of how these images can be used and whatnot. I think there's a huge amount of opportunity with these Mystic series, with these cloudy backgrounds too. Like I said, like something like this. I need to get some bigger cloud prints though. I think I want to go with half pages, slimline, bookmarks, and everything like that for this Mystic series. But yeah, that should be fun. This one right here even looks kind of interesting, just like that, without any kind of land masses on the left and right side of it. Kind of, and it's almost supernatural or something like that. You're gonna put a little person on this. Now, see, I made this fairly light in here, so if you can put, a little character walking out that in that direction too, I think that would be pretty cool. And then I left a little bit of tone up here where you can color this in if you want to do like that red tile roof and all that type of thing. You can do that on something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some different possibilities that have revealed themselves to me, like with this one right here, especially, of what's possible with the photo stamping technique and whatnot. Stuff like this too, brayered backgrounds, just stamping all this right over the top of it would be really cool too. These transitioning kind of, we call them split fountains, where it's like, different types of tones up top, red tones or whatever, orange, yellow down here. Can you imagine that? I think these types of images would, you know, work fine for that type of technique as well. So yeah, but I really do like the pigment ink types of applications in these pieces like this, you know, where it looks like really cloudy on the bottom, because I like doing that anyway. You know what I mean? So these ones are like tailor made for that. If you should so employ that, you know, look into your pieces like that. Jade greens, yeah, that would be awesome, Laura. Yeah, 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 yeah. The Caribbean blue. That's one of my favorite blues from Marvy's. Yeah, that would look really great. Like a good crystalline, like a, you know, yeah, like a turquoise uh blue in there would look really great. Or jade green, like you said. Oh, and I want to do that thing too. Like I've said, God, there's all those things. Like I like with these with all these trees in here in a terrain, but it has more of that kind of cherry. I think you know we can use these for that. You know, I mean they're pines. You know what I mean? But I think we can use them for that cherry blossomy looking, you know, type of you know, cluster in here, and I think that would look really dramatic, especially against these. If you did these like in these rugged, you know, type of darker types of mountains, like you know, this coloration like this, and having these like purplish pink, you know, trees down below would be a really great kind of springy contrast to that. Would be really fun. And plus, I mean, you see those types of images too out there in photographs and whatnot. If you type in like something like, I don't know, cherry blossom, you know, season, I don't know, whatever, like, you get all kinds of images popping up like that, or pink blossom landscape or something like that. So, yeah. Let's see, Donna got so much snow the other day. He had Yorkie out for a pee. He ran off the deck, and oh my gosh, what did he do? He disappeared in like a snow, uh, in like some fresh powder or something like that. I was watching this video of this guy that got rescued. I think it was out in Colorado. It was a skier rescues snowboarder. He was like buried in the snow, you know, like upside down, not in an avalanche. You know, I don't know if he would have died, you know, because his feet were sticking out of the snow, but he got saved. Yeah, it's like we've had so much snow in California this year, I mean, relative to the other years. You know what I mean? I think it's the most. I think it's record snowfall in the Sierras officially, but I think we might be done with the snow out this way and the rain and cold weather. Like today was like I don't know upper mid 70s or upper 70s or something like this. It's like the first time I haven't been wearing that red kind of like super thick, you know, Omni Heat top of mine, you know, in one of these videos. I've been wearing that so often because it's like been freezing in the house here. But anyways, okay, so um, hope you guys liked these scenes right here, these compositions. I really liked using them here. I would have to say that they they pretty much stamped out as expected, as much as I hope for, and hope, you know, when you design these stamps, it's always like you hope they work out even better than, you know, the way that you envision them. And you know, I can't wait to do more experimenting with that. This new line is a lot of a mishmash of designs too, and I really can't wait to do the imagery with the ash trees, these bare ash trees, and I have that little sledder imagery, and I can't wait to use him walking through kind of this winter wonderland type of thing. And I didn't even use it here. Here's this bamboo right here. I think this bamboo would look right here in the foreground of this one right here. I can use it right here in this pieces right here, but when I finish these pieces off, I might incorporate some more foreground into them as well. But we have a lot of like wintry types of things. We're coming out of winter, and I should be stamping more like spring types of things too, but these sea turtles as well. I want them on the beach, swimming out, walking out into the surf. You know, the seaside cove stamp under a moonlit night. I can't wait to do that image. I've been itching to do that. And of course I have this new lighthouse as well, and I can't wait to use that one as well. I've been using my same light rocks and waves, for years and years and years, but I always like doing lighthouse images, and I like adding in that beam into it. Things like this, using it with the Star Dream lapis lazuli or something like that, stamping it in black and having a light beam coming out of it. I can't wait to do that. And this is just all using it. I don't know if I consider this like a traditional method right here of stamping on a photograph or whatever, but I don't do things too much different on top of the photograph. It just already has this area in here, but I can't wait to use some of these types of things with, the holographics and stuff like that too, So I can't wait to see what those look like on those, I don't know, gold foils. I want to use this one right here. I need to get a re-inker for my white stays on pad so I can stamp things like these bare trees in white over darker cardstocks or darker foils and whatnot. And I think that would be really dramatic too on those types of things. So yeah. Oh, here's one more like that. So anyways, yeah. Let's see. Froggy Fresh, you're always hunting down. You got animals crawling around all over the place. That must be a fun. I don't see them in too many of your photos, unless they're, yeah, I don't see them like when you're photographing like your pieces, you would think that with so many animals walking around, there'd be like when you're photographing your pieces that you stamped out, you'd see like paws there or something like that. Verna, they won't be sold as sets. I didn't have, these are in a mishmash, and then these stamps right here. The one thing that's good about stamp sets is if I can get enough of them in there where, there's enough of a different stamps in a set that would be, constitute a good discount for you or something like that. But these stamps right here, the left and right side, right here, they almost fill up like the entire thing. So I would be able to fit like 2 or 3 more stamps, and they'd be cheaper to buy them individually. So, it was, I couldn't figure out a way to configure them into a set. And then these ones right here, and I'm not going to match up like, I'm not going to put like a bunch of ash trees with like, the baby sea turtles or something like that into a set and, fire look at it. Just wouldn't make sense as a set. So, yeah. They just didn't fit. But most of my sizes like this would normally be like an I size stamp, and everything's like sized down in terms of cost. So, like this is a G size stamp right here, but I can only fit 4 of these on a plate. That would normally be an I size. So everything's like configured one size down for the most part, from the regular prices. So everything is a little bit cheaper, or I don't know, larger for whatever size. So yeah. Will these stamps come with a donut? Should we start offering that like that? Free donut with your, it would come out to you kind of smashed though, I think, Froggy Fresh. All right. Anyway. Looking forward to the next live stream. We'll come in, we'll do a lot more live streams coming up here, with the experimentation and whatever implementation of these designs as I learn how to use them in different configurations and whatnot. I want to use, I might use the ash trees because I'm really itching to do that little guy with the sled walking through. There's this one right here, that little guy right there is it's got the I don't know, whatever, the creative gears kind of spinning like that. And also the little things like this. I have this like little explorer one. This guy has a pickaxe, okay? And I want to do things like ice caves and whatnot. So some of the little types of characters, like the smallest little elements like that are really getting me itching to do, certain types of scenes with them, ice picks and whatnot, Here's this little fisherman, a little fishing boy. I want them, you know, walking over to like a little pond or something like that, which should be fun. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know which ones I'll do next, but I don't know. I'll probably do another live stream maybe over this weekend or whatnot. So can't wait to try them all out. But I don't know. I really want to do these ones in that pink blossoms too. So I might try something with that coming up here before I get to some of the finishing off of some of these other scenes and whatnot. Or I might print out some more larger cloudy backgrounds. I'll put the cloud link. If someone wants to know of the cloud link, to email me or whatever. But it's in the the notes section, the description section of all my videos at the bottom. I usually put all the social media links, and it's the Flickr gallery, and it goes just to my general Flickr page. But then you can click on albums, okay, and it's clouds, okay. Like I said, all of those are all these different cloud photographs. And like I said, and then there's this little arrow in the bottom corner. When you put your cursor over the file, there's this little arrow pointing down, I think. And then you click on that, and you can download that file. And I think it's in whatever size you want. And, you know, click it in its original size, so it'll give you the best printout. And then you can print it out at home if you have an inkjet printer. Like I said, you know, like places like Costco and stuff like that are, you know, relatively inexpensive in terms of getting prints, you know, if you want to get a whole bunch of them at one time, whatnot. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Glazed donuts. That's the one I'm getting a lot these days. Be state and time I get the donut. Yeah, it might be stale. Yeah, unless you next day air it. All right, glad you joined in, Sam Hawkins. Glad you enjoyed it. And yeah. Oh, you want to order that lighthouse, huh, Froggy Fresh? Look up a Portland Head lighthouse, and I think that was the name of it. Yeah, that's that lighthouse. But like I said, I took liberties with it in order to put it and format it into a stamp design, you know. But yeah, I really love the look of it. I had my eye on this lighthouse for many years in terms of wanting to design it. This one took forever to do too, but it was like, okay, I want that lighthouse, you know. And like I said, this batch of designs was a bit of a mishmash, so it gave me liberties in terms of you know, being able to design anything, you know. The Mystic one's a little bit of a system, but yeah, the lighthouse and sea turtles and stuff like that, you know, fire lookout tower, total mishmash. But I don't know, all these little designs that I just felt like using and wanted to see utilized in scenes and utilized with a lot of the existing stamps too. So yeah. So this one right here, you can use it with your Seaside Coves if anyone has the Seaside Cove, or you can just use it, you know, individually. I think this one would be really cool, you know, at the base of like a elongated bookmark too. You can put a quote stamp up here or something like that, or you can put this little light going out like in this direction, or if you can have a long one like this, and you have a light going out like that, you know. So really great for different types of things, like a little beacon or whatever, you know. Some people use a lot of lighthouses in terms of like little like sympathy cards too. So yeah. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a great rest of evening, and hope to see you in the next live stream, whenever that is. Like I said, I'll be putting, you know, doing them a little bit more often now that these are in production. So yeah. Thanks for joining in, everyone.